Okay, we're back. We're going to be looking through Chapter 10 in the textbook, Small Business Promotion, Capturing the Eyes of your Market. And as the title of the chapter suggests, we want to try to find out what it is that's going to attract attention to your product or service over another competitor or similar product or service. And so certainly you'd be responsible for reading the whole text. This is the only chapter for the week. What we are going to do with the other class time, class session time, we're going to go through a rubric. I'm going to post a rubric for the marketing plan. That will actually be due, let's see, we are in week 3 now. That will be due, the first draft of the marketing plan is due in the 6th week, so you'll have more than 3 weeks now. Even if you're viewing this towards the end of week 3, you'll have roughly 3 weeks to finish up the first draft. We will go through the rubric with the other session time, so that hopefully there will be no questions about what is expected in the draft. Additionally, we'll talk more about what is expected in the full marketing plan, and so don't want there to be any questions about what is expected. I do want everyone to do well on that, certainly. So be prepared for that. All right, let's jump in now. Okay, page 308 in your textbook talks about the need for promotion. Why is it that that businesses need to do marketing? Well, unless someone finds out about your product, rarely do businesses able just to open the doors and customers just start coming in. Now, certainly that does happen. If you put up a sign, you're in the right location, all the right pieces just fall into place. That certainly can happen. But generally, a business has to do some amount of marketing, and even a sign, on the building where you're located, or out by the street, in front of your business. That's considered marketing. So what is it that attracts customers to your place of business or your service? I've heard it said by other entrepreneurship educators, and many of you that have this product, may can attest to it. But apples, Macs, are actually, I've not had one. I may like to get one in the near future. But computer owners who have owned both a PC and a Mac have said that Macs are far superior, so much simpler to use. They're not subject to many of the viruses and things that PCs get, and it's just wonder why Macs are not more widely used than PCs are. Well, I've heard explanations of it, that it goes back many, many years to when PCs and Macs were first, the marketing of those were first begun. Actually, Windows-based PCs, Windows operating system computers, the PCs, actually had a much, much better marketing team than did Apple, and therefore made a lot more inroads in a lot of different areas of industry and personal computer use, home use of personal computer, and so therefore it became accepted much quicker and much more broadly than Apples and Macs. And so that is the reason that we still see today many, certainly so many more PCs in homes, in universities and colleges, and in businesses, and the associated programs such as Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, those kind of things, loaded onto those computers, and talked about more widely as well. I've done that here in this course even. Now, certainly, Macs have an equivalent of that, and in some cases, the formats can be transferable. Files can be transferred from one type of computer to the other. But there are some programs that there's not that crossover for, and so if you've got the one, and that's actually the way they would like it to be. My understanding, Macs. But that comes down to marketing. Many years ago, 20 plus years ago, that's one of the main reasons that Apple's Macs are not more widely used, not more widely accepted relative to Windows-based computers. And so you can see what that has done for that industry. It's kind of shaped the direction of how programmers will produce a product that they may want to put out to market. Computer repair people will specialize. They know that their customer base will be larger if they work in, if they have knowledge of one operating system over another. And so it's shaped a lot of things in our world, even not just in our country. So keep that in mind when you're developing your product. Now, that's not to say that you need to put out a poor product or service, but it can be that the best marketing can actually better marketing can actually overcome a poor product or a lower quality product. Don't say poor, but a lower quality product. Okay, you can call that poor if you want to. All right. So it's all. It just goes to show the power of marketing and how you can use it to your benefit. And knowing about marketing is very important. And so this course, we're going to cover some of that, and certainly we'll have the marketing plan that we'll put together. I would encourage you, if you if you've not already, I would encourage you to take a course that is dedicated fully to marketing, dedicated to marketing, as a part of this degree program, or just independently, as an elective or something. Okay, crafting your value proposition. What is your value? What is a value proposition, and why is it important? Well, the value proposition is, as it states down there, the bullet points. What is it that, and we've talked about this in previous sessions. What is it that is going to make someone want to do business with you? Really, what is it that makes you different? That makes you better? And if you can highlight those points. Again, going back to the Mac and PC example, if you can highlight those points, your good qualities, you can actually overcome some, many of the shortcomings of your product or service, and outsell your competitor. So those are some good questions there on page 308, the bullet points, and it suggests. Let's see, I believe this is the area here. Asking yourselves these questions, certainly, but also you'll benefit if you have someone else review your plan and ask these questions of you, or ask other questions of you after having reviewed your plan. And it's good for them to be critical of of your plan, your product, your service. Sometimes we can. The easy thing to do is to get a friend or a family member to help us out with this, but a lot of times they're too close to you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to make you feel bad, and so they want to ask the tough questions. But really, that's what you need. You need someone to do that, to say, look, hey, I'm your friend, or I'm your cousin, or whatever, but I just don't see how this can work. Now, it may be that they just don't understand it, and they ask you questions to try to get clarity. Maybe you fully understand it, but you haven't put it down on paper. And that's what we want to do. Number one, we want to put it on paper, but then we want to go back through it and revise it and make it so clear that that anyone that you are selling to, anyone that you are trying to convince to come on board with you to help you, understands exactly what the steps that need to be taken to carry out the plan. A lot of times entrepreneurs have they're big thinkers, they're high level thinkers, and they They don't want to get caught up in the minutia, the details of what need to be done. Well, I'm going to tell you, you absolutely need to do that if you want to be successful. You've got to do that, and in a lot of cases, you can't pawn that off on someone else. If you want to be viewed that way as the person who made the business happen, a lot of times you can't you can't hire that job done. You have to do it yourself. So at the very and even if you do, at the very least, you need to be able to make sure that what you're getting from that other person is lines up with what you want to have happen with your business. And so you need to have thought through these things, question them critically for yourself, and hopefully you have someone that can do that for you as well. Okay, developing a value proposition. On page 309, the skill module 10.1. Look through that. It will help you. The value proposition will need to be a component of your marketing plan and the overall business plan. So certainly read through that. Segmenting your market. We talked about this a little bit previously in the chapters. I believe it was 9 and 12 from last week. Excuse me. Segmentation and target market. What do those things mean? Well, your target market certainly, as we've learned previously, is a group that you have defined, or that you need to define, maybe, of potential clients that you feel could benefit from your product or service. Segmentation is the process of narrowing down these broad-based groups into smaller groups, or as the book calls it, smaller portions of people who have certain common characteristics, and your target market may be one of those. Okay? All right. I like the example or the picture on page 310 about a bilingual daycare center and how that could attract individuals from both your primary, I believe it's your primary and secondary market customers. Certainly location would be important. You need to understand that community. Not only when I say community, I mean the area in which your facility would be located, but also in this case potentially the Hispanic community. You need to understand the things that they do on a daily basis, places that they go, and how your service fits in with meeting their needs. Okay? All right. Let's see here. Okay. Crafting your message on page 312. I'm going to talk a little bit about advertising and trying to develop a message that is going to appeal to your target market. You may have come up with a great message that you feel is applicable and will really take hold with your target market. However, if you can't get it in front of them, or if once you get it in front of them, if they aren't paying attention to it for some reason, then you've really wasted your money. You've wasted time and effort and expense of producing this marketing piece. There are a lot of methods of advertising, and marketing and advertising are different. Advertising is what you traditionally think of as putting an ad in the newspaper, an ad on the radio, spot on the radio, a TV ad, a billboard. That's advertising. Marketing encompasses that, certainly, but all of the activities that you do to promote your business. It's you talking about your business in social settings. wearing a logo, embroidered logo on your shirt, or a vest, or some other piece of material clothing. It's attending meetings such as the Chamber of Commerce. There are lots of meetings that go on, lots of groups that and activities that you can be involved with through Chamber of Commerce, and that's just one example. There may be dozens of others in your community, but getting involved and getting the word out without necessarily paying for advertising, and those things are called marketing, or that's encompassed in the word marketing, and that's what we want to focus. Not focus on that. We want to be aware of all of it, so that it's all incorporated into your marketing plan. So I've done some studies, and I'm sorry to say I don't have statistics on it now, but it's interesting here, and this is what kind of brought it back to mind. But the first line under crafting your message on page 312, American consumers are bombarded by messages all day. For example, children view an estimated 55 commercials a day. I assume that means on television, but it could be a combination of television and radio. How many of those are going to actually stick? They're actually going to take hold with the child, or with an adult. The child may pay more attention to it than the adult, and certainly any studies that you can find about the effectiveness of commercials and the makeup of commercials that are effective will help you in designing your own commercials. If you choose to use TV or radio, but with adults, a lot of times, what I found in studies that I've seen is that especially TV commercials, whenever a TV commercial comes on, the adults kind of zone out. Even if they're still sitting on the couch watching the television, a lot of times they're not really paying attention to what the commercial is. Now they may hear it in the background, but they may be, they may take this commercial break as an opportunity to turn to their friend that's there with them, or a spouse, or a child, or a parent, grandparent, someone else that's in the room, and have a quick conversation about what they've just watched, or about something that's going on in the news or in the world today. So the commercials aren't always viewed by adults, and in fact, I think I'm not going to test you on this, but the number I believe that I remember was that really only anywhere from 15 to 30% of adults actually watch commercials. Now, a lot of times, adults will actually, maybe sitting on the couch with a laptop, doing something, doing some surfing the web for just whatever, checking scores on sports games or something, or searching for something for their child for a project that's due the next day or next week or something. And so yeah, they've got the TV on, and it's going, and you may hear it, but it's not really sinking in. And so, but then again, there's the other side. The other argument says that these messages are heard, they're received, maybe not consciously, but maybe subconsciously, and they're stuffed away down in our brain somewhere. And you have to hear, a consumer has to hear your message a certain number of times anyway. It varies depending on which studies you look at, and which firms report that you're reading, but they have to hear your message a certain number of times anyway. And it's like bricks. You lay your base foundation, and then you put another brick on top of it, and you put another brick, and another brick, and another, and eventually you've got something that's standing there in front of them that they have to pay attention to, or that when they're going down the aisle at the grocery store, they look and they see your product, and they don't really realize why, but they have a good feeling about it. They may not remember. They do not remember at all the fact that they saw a commercial. Sometimes our brains work in very strange ways. and that's a lot of what marketing and advertising is getting that message to your consumer on a consistent basis. You can't just do it one time or two times and think that people are just going to come beating your door down to buy your product or service, hire you for your service. You've got to do it consistently. You've got to be, if you choose to go advertising in the newspaper or a particular magazine, maybe your community produces a hometown magazine, or maybe your Chamber of Commerce produces a newsletter. I talked with someone just the other day who said that they were new to it was an accounting firm, CPA firm. They were new to the community that we were talking about, and they said they purchased a banner at the top of a newsletter that went out every single week, and this was emailed out to, I don't know, probably 2,000 chamber member businesses and the individuals that were employed at these businesses, including the owner and other associates. They bought that for like either $400 or $600 a year. I don't know, something, granted, $400 is a lot of money to some people, depending, certainly if you're a college student. But in the business world, $400 is not a whole lot, and to be able to buy that recognition, and so they're going to get that every week, 52 times a year. A banner at the top of this email blast that's going to be going out is going to be seen with, now granted, it's not a lot of space. It's about, maybe an inch on an 11-inch page, maybe a half inch or something. But if you can get your name, a logo in there, eventually, and maybe, a quick line about what it is you do, in this case, CPAs, that's all anyone needs to put if they're a CPA firm, if they're limited on space. And so people know what a CPA firm is, what they do. There's really no need to, or there may be no need to put any more than that. When a business has a need for changing their accountant, and that happens, businesses don't keep the same accountant. Now, many do, but not every business keeps the same accountant for the entire duration, or for the entire existence of a business. And so whenever a business does get ready to change, they're going to think back. Where do I need to, who do I need to call? Well, they're going to remember that. They may not remember why they remember this particular CPA firm, but they're going to remember the name of that CPA firm. Or, and I probably should have said this first, but now this is a good time to do that. The number one source for, at least for retail, business to consumer, and you may see it's written B2C, B the number 2, and then C, B2C, business to consumer, ways that consumers find and how they want to contact a certain type of business. Let's say a pest control agency or something. The number one source, you know what that is? The Yellow Pages. Okay, well it makes sense then if the Yellow Pages representative calls you and says, "Hey, we want to sell you an ad in the Yellow Pages." Yellow Pages is the number one resource for consumers finding what they need, and that is true. But once a person goes to the Yellow Pages, how many pest control companies are there? There may be 20 in your area. Well, how do you choose? Well, that kind of goes back to psychology, and I love psychology and trying to understand the human mind and how we make decisions. It would probably benefit you for taking a course in psychology also. But once you get to the pest control section of the Yellow Pages, how do you decide which company you're going to call? One of the number one ways is the first listing in the Yellow Pages, and that's why you'll see in a lot of cases like pest control, bail bonding, and so many others, you'll see AAA extermination, or because it gets their name, this AAA extermination. They list everything alphabetically. 3 A's is going to come before anything with 2 A's or 1 A. Or any business that starts with the letter B. If I started a pest control business and named it Brandon's Extermination or Brandon's Pest Control, well, mine might fall 12th on a list of businesses, in the Yellow Pages if they're listed alphabetically. Okay, well that's fine and well, and that may actually appeal to some people. Me personally, and maybe it's because I know that, I kind of discount those entries in the yellow pages, and I look for some, I've got another sequence of steps that I go through for determining. But again, going back to the psychology of our mind, how that plays in to how we make decisions, really where it comes into, even though the yellow pages is the number one, ultimately the source that gets the phone call, generally a consumer has to have seen that business. If they're choosing Brandon's Pest Control, it's because they will have seen it somewhere else. They kind of quickly glance down the page in the pest control section until they see something that they recognize. They may not know exactly why they recognize it. Excuse me, but that in more times than not is what causes someone to contact one business over another. And if it's pest control or plumbing, or someone that actually has to come out to your house, you have to call them to get them to come here. If it's another children's clothing store or something, you have to physically go there. Obviously, you're not going to call, but the same process would still apply. You're selecting a business to go to, out away from your home, and so they may have seen a billboard somewhere. Even though it may have been difficult to read because you're driving down the road, you're supposed to be paying attention to the road, but you still see it out of the corner of your eye. You see, I think we used the example of Angels Kids Clothing or something like that. Little Angels Clothing or something in a previous lesson. But that billboard will be there for a full month or 6 months or whatever time period you've purchased, and so the hope is that you'll get some calls, and they may not call, but because they may not call as they're driving down the road, or they may not see it and immediately go to your store. It's a process. It's a series of seeing your business's name and logo over and over, seeing you in the community potentially wearing that nice polo shirt with an embroidered logo on it, a magnet car, magnet door magnet on your vehicle, some vinyl lettering on the back window of your van. And certainly you want to keep everything consistent as far as color schemes, logos, fonts. If you do some lettering on your vehicle, and that's becoming popular with businesses, you want to try to keep you don't want to do something that's not readable. Just because it looks cool. It needs to be readable because you have to understand the setting in which the people, most people are going to be seeing this. Now, certainly you're going to be parked at the grocery store or the drugstore somewhere, and people will see your car sitting still. But in a lot of cases, it's going to be you driving down the road, cars, passing you passing them, and them seeing your rear window, and it needs to be something that's readable when automobiles are in motion. So those are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about when you're deciding on what kind of marketing strategies you want to put in place. Okay? All right, I've kind of rambled on for a little bit here. Let me see what else we need to think of. Oh, I started in this direction. I didn't finish it. A message that you may have for print, like magazines or newspaper, may be different from one that you have for a billboard. In a magazine or a newspaper, the viewer has a lot more time. Now, certainly they have that publication for a reason. That they've chosen the local newspaper to read through it, see what local events are going on. So you may have now that they're going to be perusing that for a longer period of time. So you can put more information into your ads because the viewer has more time. It's just kind of built in. It's understood. With a billboard, your viewer does not have as much time. Now, what you're counting on is catching the attention, as I said earlier, out of the corner of the eye of the person that's driving down the road, because they truly do need to be safe and keep their eyes on the road, hopefully. What your goal is to have something that attracts them, that draws in, that's in just out of the line of sight, but still draws their attention over to the billboard, such that the next time they make that same route, now if it's a one-time trip, you're probably out of luck, honestly. But the next time they make that trip, if it's on their way to work, if it's on their way to take the kids to school, if it's students going to college, those are the kind of things that you need to take into consideration whenever when you are designing an ad for a billboard. Location is certainly important as well in attracting certain target markets. So all those things have to play in. Just because a billboard's available, and it may, and by the way, it may have been available for months, and a sales rep comes to you and says, look, we really need to get someone on this. I'm going to give you a discount of 50%. Okay, wow, that sounds great. I get a billboard for half off. Well, where is it located? Does it match? Does it line up with your target market? Where the route that they travel each day. It may be on a street where it's on the outside of outskirts of town. A very limited amount of traffic actually will see it, and even then, it's next to a co-op or something, a co-op, farmers co-op, and the majority of the individuals that are going to be seeing it are individuals who are going to be going there to purchase seed or other supplies from the co-op store. Well, those are the ones going to be driving by slowly, at least, and that's not, that may be your target market, but if it's not, then you really have to evaluate, is this going to be money well spent? Well, just because something's available doesn't mean you should do it. Okay. And so at the same time, let me think of another example. So we talked about newspaper, magazine, and billboards. There are other medium as well. Radio is another popular one, and a lot of times you'll hear special offers for advertisers, and sometimes if your business is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you can get discounts at certain ones of these advertisers, and so would encourage you to look into to organizations like that to try to get some advertising at a discount. But again, certainly got to take into consideration with radio, you got to understand when your ad is going to run, and you may get names of other businesses that have run radio spots and find out their satisfaction. And don't tell the salesperson that you're going to be doing this, but certainly you want to know if the time that you're told that it's going to run, it actually ran on that time. And so get references from other businesses. Make sure it's not just a friend of the radio salesperson, and they're wanting to help their buddy out and making sales and things, and that may be that's true with any. I'm not knocking radio advertising by any stretch, but with anything you do, make sure that you know who it is that you're talking to, and that you're getting information that's actually going to help you. Okay. There are other mediums as well. Certainly, internet is becoming very popular. Sites like Google and Facebook with a pay-per-click advertising. A lot of times, I've heard of businesses that will set up a Google Ads account, and it is activity-based payment. And so, my understanding, at least in the past, has been that you as the business don't pay unless someone actually physically mouses over to your ad, clicks on it, which will open up another window. Okay, and so they can see your ad over here on the side of their screen, but if they don't move over and click on it, it doesn't cost you anything. So there's no harm to doing that, and you can set limits on what you want to what your budget is on a daily basis, or I guess maybe even potentially an hourly basis, and then if you get a certain number of clicks within that time frame that you have defined, then the ad will be pulled, and so you're not going to be forced to pay more than what you've told Google that your daily budget is. I would assume that some other sites do the same. Yahoo, I know Facebook is doing something similar, if not exactly the same. There's other ways I've seen advertising um, in some restaurants like these. Usually it's like a sports themed restaurant. They'll have these napkin holders with a clear face on both sides, and there'll be an ad in there for a plumbing service or an electrical service or whatever car wash service, and so that's another way, and it's probably relatively inexpensive to do that. Here's another thing. If you see a business that we'll use the restaurant there, the napkin holders as an example. If you see a business that that, number one, that you like and that you feel like clientele, potential customers of yours would also like this business, and you would like to attract them to your business, you can approach them and say, hey, instead of going through a third party medium, an advertising agent to contract with you, approach them and say, hey, I've got this business, I'd like to advertise, in your napkin holders or whatever, or maybe tell them about it and say, look, if you'll purchase these napkin holders, I'll advertise, and over a period of, find out the costs, and you can go to them with information and tell them how it's going to pay for itself, potentially. Then they're more likely to say yes to you. They may need an upgrade of their napkin holders. Honestly, it may actually be something that would be viewed positively by their customer base, by having this this new napkin holder. Okay, you tell them, you find out that it costs them $50 for each one of these napkin holders. Okay, and you tell them that you will pay them $5 a month per napkin holder, both sides. All right. Well, in a year's time, obviously $5 times 12 months is $60. So in a year's time, number one, they've paid for their new napkin holders, so they essentially have no cost to them. Actually, after 10 months, the other 2 months, it's just profit for them. So if you will commit to a year contract with them, they've got this new thing that they can put on every one of their tables for no cost. After that, if you decide to renew, they're making money every month. Every month they're making money off of that. And of course, you wouldn't renew unless you saw some benefit out of it. You'll know. If you're going to see some benefit, you'll know if sales start increasing, if there's more traffic to your location. If you have, let's say, for example, you have a retail store or something, it's coming from somewhere, and you'll be able to tell. You ask the question, say, where did you find out about us? Oh, well, I saw your ad somewhere. I can't remember. Well, if the only place that you're advertising is on the side of these napkin holders, that's it. It's successful. That's a recall method. Okay, that is a way to find out how successful your business, how successful your advertising dollars are being spent. Okay. Uh, Others that I've seen, if sticking with restaurants, if you've been out to eat and you pay with a debit card or a credit card, a lot of times you have to. Sometimes you put in your PIN number. A lot of times you have to sign a receipt. Well, I've seen some check cashing services where I live who have gone to several types of restaurants and just given them stacks of pins, maybe even a whole box, and they said, "Look, you don't have to pay for pins." Because a lot of times the patrons of the restaurant, they're not. I carry a pen with me, and I use my own pen whenever I sign those. But a lot of times the restaurant will have to supply a pen to the patron that's wanting to needing to sign the receipt. Well, this check cashing place, they've done that for them. That's an expense to the business. Now, granted, it's not a lot, but maybe 13 cents, 25 cents, whatever it is. But how many of those disappear in a day's time? Potentially 1, 2, 10 every day. Who knows? Someone signs it and they forget and they hold on to it. They don't put it back in the little pen holder and they take it out with them. So if they're a quarter each, even if you got a little cheap pen, that's $2.50. Not a huge deal, but in a month's time, $2.50 times 30 days in a month, $75. $75 to a business bringing in $10,000 a month, not a huge deal, but it's still $75 that you could use for something else. So what this check cash in place did, they've gone to these businesses. They said, here's 1,000 pins, put them out, use them whenever someone wants to or needs to sign their receipt. Um, uh, and those are the pins that are available. If they get taken, the check cash in place doesn't care, because their logo and their colors are going to be in front of this person. They're gonna, if it's a female, stick it in their purse. If it's a man, maybe they stick it in the pocket or in the glove box in the car. And next time they need a pen, they're gonna remember having put something in there. They're gonna see advanced check cash or whatever it is, and whenever they have a need to cash a check or whatever other services they may provide there, they're going to think of advanced check cash first. So that's marketing. So you may do something similar. Be creative with it. I'd love that to be a discussion board topic about how you can be creative with regards to your marketing. That's what it takes is not shock value, but doing something different that's going to stand out in the minds of your potential customers. You really do have to do that, because doing the same old things really does just kind of blend into the background of life. Billboards, I couldn't tell you, there's only one billboard or one business's billboard in my community that I even really know exists, and the only reason that one is because I'm friends with the owner, and so I pay attention to that one. But the others, I couldn't tell you what's out there because I don't pay attention to it. I don't take the newspaper. Newspaper readership is in decline and has been for more than a decade. TV viewership, those stations are so specialized and segmented. You really do have to hone in and target very, very, very specific markets on very specific stations at very specific times a day, or else you're not going to get the results. And so that's why successful businesses are looking to alternative forms of advertising, and in order to be successful. So I would encourage you to do the same. Think of how you can do that without going through an advertising person necessarily. Okay? All right, spend enough time on that. We'll move along. Okay. Everyone can read, so I'm not going to go through everything here. I fully believe you all are smart people and can read and understand this. If you have questions, certainly I think it's something that would be appropriate for the message board. If you have questions, if you have something to share that you know about and you feel like you can add value in a certain area, share that as well. Okay. We talked a little bit about conveying your message, page 314. Okay. I like here where it says, excuse me, middle of the page, there are 4 contemporary methods that are becoming more and more prevalent, include internet, word of mouth marketing, buzz marketing, and guerrilla marketing. And I saw the definition that they use for buzz marketing somewhere. Okay, here, that's on page 318. So certainly read through buzz marketing, viral marketing. Read through that section, and I know you will. I say that, and forgive me. That's just what I say. All right, I know you're going to do it. Understand what that's all about. Again, that would be a good topic of discussion on the discussion board. Some pointers on promotional materials on page 315, such as business cards, letterhead or stationery, brochures, flyers, promotional goods. When I think of promotional goods, depending on the business you're in, you may get sales reps that come to you, and they may give you, one of these giant paper clips that sits on your desk, and it's got their company's name and logo on it, and you can use it, or a paperweight, or a clock, or pins with their logo on it again. And these kind of things are, I don't know what the right word is to use. They stick with you for a while. But unless it's something that's permanent, like a clock, like a very nice pen that you can feel fairly certain that the person's going to want to keep and use on a regular basis, a lot of these things are not going to get seen over and over. They may be kept for a month. Um, and then discarded, thrown away. Their usefulness has dwindled, and so they may get tossed away. And so I'm not sure of the effectiveness of promote the promotional novelties, and that's just from my personal experience, having had those things given to me in business, in the business world, over the last 15-20 years. Signs, certainly I was about to say are necessary. I do know of a business who did not have a sign. They didn't have a need for a sign because of the way that they did business. In fact, they said that if they had a sign, it would attract a certain type of business that they didn't really want, and so they didn't have a sign on their building out in front of their building by the street. They didn't really advertise in the yellow pages. They had a listing, but they certainly didn't advertise. So signs are important for certain businesses, but you got to make sure, don't just do it just because it's what everyone else is doing, or just because, let's say you're I'm going to use some of these service examples a lot, so just get used to it. But if you're wanting to start a plumbing business, well, you wouldn't have a location for that. The children's clothing business, just because another children's clothing business did it in another city or in the same city that you're in, does not mean that you necessarily need to do the same things. They may not be successful with it. So just because, so don't think that what everyone else is doing are the same things that you need to do. Understand who you're marketing to, and find out if this method is going to appeal to them. Okay. With regards to business cards, stationery, brochures, flyers, oh my goodness. Countless numbers of businesses I've seen over the years that when they get started, excuse me, sit up straighter here. When they get started in business, they feel like they need to order tons and tons of business cards, letterhead, envelopes, trifold brochures that talk about their business or their industry, or maybe there's some industry group for the type of business that you're in, and they produce these materials and they're offering it to you at a discount. Again, just because you're getting it at a discount doesn't mean you need it. Excuse me, doesn't mean it's useful. But a lot of times, one of the biggest mistakes new business owners make is buying too much promotional materials. When they once they get going, they realize that either they don't have the time to distribute it all, or those types of things are not well received by their target audience, and so it's wasted money. You may get a 30% discount by buying in bulk. Well, that doesn't mean that you need 2,000 trifold brochures about your business. How many do you truly feel like you can give out in a year's time? Okay, if you think you can give out 200 in a year, why would you buy 2,000? Okay, because the word spoilage, we learned about. Now, those of you that are in the purchasing class, you're familiar with that word, but what that means is, in this case, that what you have is no longer useful. Think about a food product. Food products have a date stamped on them that they're best used by or best consumed by. Well, the same can be true for this type of thing. Brochures, flyers, whatnot. They have a certain date after which they're probably not not good any longer. You know, the color of the paper may start turning, you know, due to being in the heat or being exposed to sunlight or just whatever. Other things that happen depending on the information that you put in there. You know, I know one business that now, well, yeah, okay, because of the information that they put in there, like their Christmas cards, okay, or if you choose holiday cards, they're Christmas cards. Okay, they put the names of the employees, had them printed on or on the inside of the Christmas cards. Well, problem was that every year they've got new employees. Well, the next year they didn't learn their lesson. They did the same thing again. They printed the names of the employees in the on the inside of the Christmas card, and the third year in a row they did it again. Well, if they had just printed, you know, the name of the business, maybe the logo, and had the individual sign the card instead of having their names printed in there, they could have ordered 1,000 of them if they wanted to send out. You know, if they didn't mind sending the same card out for several years, but instead they might have ordered 500. There was a discount for ordering 500. They only sent out 200, so they had an extra 300 that they had intended to send out next year. Well, you know, yeah, you fully intend for everything to be, you know, that is in place this year to be in place next year. Well, that's not always the case with your employees. So you have an employee to leave. Well, now you can't send out a Christmas card with this person's name on there because they're not there anymore, and it just looks weird. So you've wasted 300 Christmas cards. You know, that's 60% of what you bought is wasted. Okay, so keep those things in mind when you're looking at making purchases, and that is a marketing method. That is way of, you know, everything that you do. Your logo, again, going back to some of this I've already said, and I may say it several more times, but your logo, the font that you use, the colors that you use should be consistent. Not just close. There are color scales that you need to make sure that you've got the exact number on. Certainly, if you're going to have those done professionally printed, but even if you're going to be doing it in house, some of that printing, you need to make sure that the colors are the same. Not that your customers are going to hold up one, you know, hold it up to the light and say, "Hey, is this got the same hue and tint to it?" And no, that's not what I'm talking about. But you do want to make sure. That you have consistency, because there will be that person that notices subtle differences in things. If your logo has a shadow to it in one place, and another place it does not have a shadow, you know, what does that say about your business? Are you paying attention to detail? Some of the same things we talked about with the business plan that you're going to produce, and the page numbering a couple of lessons ago, we talked about that. The same holds true in your business. You want to show that you're paying attention to detail, because it gives indication that you know what you're doing in other areas of your business. Okay, so just be careful about how much you want to order, even if you get discounts. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes or so. Let's see how quickly I've got to move. Oh, actually, do kind of have to move quickly. Sales promotions are a good way of getting your word out, getting your name out. You know, it's got a picture of coupons here. Buy one get one frees. Giving out flyers. You know, ads on the radio about you know, 3 hours only. You've got a certain sale going on, or you've got a certain product, certain one single product. You know, maybe the manufacturer has got a special offer made available only to you, and you're going to pass that on to your customers. Those kind of things can help get your name out. Oh, sorry about that. Get your name out and help stamp that in the minds of your customers and potential customers as well. Your website is, you know, can potentially, depending on your type of business, can be a crucial marketing tool to use. Websites are becoming more common. Now, I'm not a web expert by any stretch. I'm certainly not a web design expert, but as I understand it, this Web 2.0 is sort of a new look and a level of interactivity that is contained within a website, and that's the thing that is that many consumers are looking for whenever they're doing their shopping online, and that's true in anything from research, from trying to find an insurance agent or a plumber or even churches. Some people they move to a new community. Now I know this class is not about it is about business, but when they move to a new community, they're looking for something, and if you can't, make something that they haven't, because they don't have experience and they don't have connections, and so how are they going to find? I said earlier the number one way was the Yellow Pages, but the new number one way is becoming the internet. We use the internet to research automobiles, to research shoes, to research tons of things. How to care for animals. What characteristics that certain animals have. My daughter recently is she's wanting a Cocker Spaniel, so it's all right. We need to find out about Cocker Spaniels. Well, how do you do that? Well, the library's closed at 8 o'clock at night. What are we going to do? We're going to pull up the internet and find, we can read for hours about Cocker Spaniels. Okay. Well, the same is true for consumers. They're going to be doing their research ahead of time. We don't order manuals or go to the store and sit and read product fact sheets. No, why? Because people, for the most part, don't want to be hounded by salespeople, standing over their shoulder. You ready to buy? You ready to buy? You ready to buy? And there's a section in here. Let's see, where was that? I saw earlier. Page 321, item number 4. Those bullet points that talk about the closing techniques. And some of those still apply in certain settings, but for the most part, a lot of consumers these days are trying to avoid some amount of that or all of that, and so you've got to be smarter than your smart consumer and figure out a way to get to that closing without running them out of your store. You've got to get them in front of you. You know what you have is a good product or service, but you can't make a sale unless you get them in front of you. So that's the approach that you should have. How are you going to actually get them in front of you? And today's consumer is a lot different than the consumer of even a year ago, certainly 5 years ago, 10, 20 years ago. And so what is it that it's going to take to get them in front of you so that you can make that sale? All right. But websites, you don't absolutely have to have a website, but certainly it can add to, and it really strengthens your brand. We talked about branding in previous chapters. It strengthens your brand, and if you've got information that you want to communicate, there's other things too. Creating a business page on Facebook, doing Twitter, LinkedIn, some of those things, making connections with others. To where you can get your message out. You've got a special sale. You've got a way to blast that now very quickly, and people can see, what it is that you have to offer. There may be others. I would love for that to be a post on the discussion board also about other forms of viral marketing. And again, that we'll get on the buzz marketing, viral marketing. That's a couple of pages out. Okay, back again to the Yellow Pages, I mentioned that's the number one source or the number one place that people go before actually making a buying decision. Actually, the number one method of marketing is referrals, word of mouth, and that's at the bottom of page 316 there. Okay, word of mouth is your best marketing. If you do a good job for someone, them telling someone else about what you've done for them, that's invaluable. You can't pay enough for that, and hopefully you won't be paying for that. What you're doing, the pay that you've done is in providing that good service or providing a high quality product for that customer. That's what you've paid for it. So you do pay for it, yes. It's not an extra expense that you take on, but take care of the customer. And I mentioned in a previous lesson also the E-Myth Revisited, and it's not a requirement for this course, but I would very much encourage you to get that book. I would say it's probably under $10. at Books A Million or Barnes and Noble, or probably don't have it at the college bookstore, but or you can get it online. There's also an audio CD version of it. Make and even download it to your iPod potentially if you have an iPod. It's a little more to do that for the CDs. I think it's around $25 or so. Great book, and it talks about some of the things that we've just been talking about, word of mouth marketing, among other things. It's a great read. Okay, let's move along because we've only got about 10 more minutes or so. But certainly read through the word of mouth and referral section. Buzz marketing, things that you can do, creating YouTube videos. I see things on YouTube now. YouTube is evolving. It seems like every day that the way that the design and things almost. If you've ever bought anything on Amazon, Amazon keeps a record of your purchases, and it will make suggestions the next time that you visit the site. Will make suggestions about books or other, if you bought a tech product, a new keyboard or something, it may make suggestions about things that you may also want to consider purchasing. And some of it, a lot of it's based on what people who have also purchased that keyboard, other products that they purchased or other books that these people have purchased or whatever, because they kind of take and they have created this large database, kind of defining customer bases almost. And so if there were a way that you could do the same, it'd be great for your business. And there may be other sources out there. Well, there may be something that comes about eventually. I had someone who thought that it would be a great business to take that idea and apply it in a supermarket setting. And how you would do that, I'm not really sure. But he told me, but I can't share it. But in the event that he's pursuing that, I want to protect his privacy there on that. But for example, if you are looking for a certain product and you have a device that helps you find the product in the store, then it may come back, okay, people who have also purchased Love's diapers also purchased this product. It's on aisle 8. Okay, so that's and my point in that is that it seems that YouTube it at least seems that they're starting to do some of the same things. If you watch a video on there, it may show you other videos that people have watched, that watched the same video that you did. So if you have a series of videos that you put on YouTube, for example, in our last chapter, we had one about the gentleman that had the wood manufacturing plant. I don't remember exactly what it was. They made cabinets or what, it didn't matter. But if he had a series of videos that he put on YouTube, maybe about the different types of wood products that they could produce, or maybe about the different steps in the process, those are the kind of things that that an individual may want to view many of, and they can, going viral means that it's being referred. That kind of thing can be taken and referred out to many individuals with just a couple of clicks of a mouse. There may be a better explanation for the word viral than that, but that's simple enough. Okay, but and I don't ever foresee a cabinet making video going viral, but you get my point, hopefully. All right, there are things that you can do to promote your business, and getting others to help you promote your business will only speed up the sales process for you. And that's what you want to do. You want to take advantage of all avenues possible with the goal of increasing sales. All right, we're going to skip over personal selling, the process of personal selling, although I want you to read through that section. Succeeding after the sale, starting on page 322, excuse me there. CRM, customer relationship management. There are a number of pieces of software out there that that track customers and customer information. One good one that I've used in one of my businesses recently is Salesforce.com. It's a web-based CRM software, and you can customize it. You can use templates that they recommend for you, but you can customize it. So far and so deep to be able to capture all kinds of information about your prospective client base. You can buy data lists of customers that can be uploaded in there, so you don't have to manually type that information in. So that can be helpful for you, and that kind of goes to the step one there, gathering the data. I won't go through all the steps, but certainly want you to read through that because you may have questions on each one or more of these steps on your test. Okay. And table 10.1 is great information, and you would certainly take and customize that to your business. You call out certain pieces of data here that you wouldn't need. You may add in other sales or lines or full tables for information that you want to capture that is specific to your business or your industry. Analyzing the data. Let's skip a page. Okay. All right, let's see where we are. Okay. Building press relations program, page 328. And again, just like any advertising, you truly have to weigh the level to which this information is going to get out. Who's it going to get to? How much attention are they truly going to pay to it? What are the channels or the distribution methods by which you're going to get this information out? There's some laws in place now. You can't just take lists, email lists that you have gathered. Maybe you were copied on a list that went out, from the university, and it's got 600 individuals it went to, and for some reason the person forgot to blind copy. If you don't know what blind copy is, look it up on your favorite in your favorite search engine. But someone forgot to blind copy everyone that was that the email went to, and so now you have the names of 600 or 2,000 individuals that you could put on an email distribution list. Well, there's laws against doing that. The person has to submit to receiving communication from you, and so you can't just start sending out messages to all those individuals that, whose names you have from this email list. But you do have to, you can construct and devise an email marketing campaign, but you have to have something that is pertinent, because email is so easy just to mouse over and click that delete button, and it's gone. And a lot of times, you've got within a sales pitch, the same thing would be true here in an email message. You've got in a sales pitch, you've got probably about 5 seconds to capture the attention of the person. And then you've got another 10 seconds, so a total of 15 seconds maybe to really convince them to hang around and listen to what you have to say. Otherwise, mentally they've already checked out, and then very shortly thereafter, physically they're gone. They have checked out. They're not going to sit and listen to you. So you've got to convince them of why they need to sit and listen to you within a very short period of time. The same is true in any written communication, and email is included in that. You have just a very few words that today's consumer will be willing to sit and read, because we're all so busy. We've got so much to do, so many demands. We don't have time. And the people that recognize that will not spend minutes and minutes and minutes reading something, hoping that you'll get to a point eventually. They're smart. They're smart individuals, and they know that the people that have a message for them, they're going to get to that message very quickly. And so if it doesn't appeal to them, they're deleting it. It's gone. They've got too much going on in their life to worry with these other time-consuming activities. Okay, so there are some ways to do that. It's beyond the scope of this course here as to how to construct that. But the book does give you some pointers here. Another way that with regards to press releases, another way that you can promote yourself. I've seen lists before, and you may go out to your favorite search engine and search for a list of the best marketing methods. Certainly, one of the best is writing a book. If you're an expert in a certain area and you write a book on it, you have elevated yourself so high, and you will then be viewed as an expert, and you can use that in so many areas of marketing. Okay. Well, another is writing articles, and so whether it's for your local newspaper, if it's for your Chamber of Commerce newsletter, you figure it out, you find it, and if it's not there, maybe you can help create it, whatever it is. But tapping into something that already has a distribution network that it can be communicated out is better. That way you don't have to develop it yourself. Sometimes you have to, unfortunately. Certainly anything, well, not anything. Sometimes it's if your business is more local in nature, then you don't want national press may not necessarily benefit you. It might, because if someone from, let's say, U.S. News and World Report wants to talk to you about a subject, then that's big time. Okay, even if you only sell locally, it looks important. You can have the cover of U.S. News and World Report along with your little quote framed and put on your wall. That people like that. Anything that can get you talked about and cemented in the minds of your consumers is going to help when they go out of your store or they're apart from your service. If it's a service that you provide, it will help them in being willing to refer business back to you. Okay, but there are services out there, and give me just a moment. I'm sorry. I'm going to go. I'm gonna have to go to my email here, and oh, I might have deleted it. I think it's eZine articles. Let me see if I can type it real quick. I think it's. Oh, my browser's not working. There are some free services that will allow you to write articles and post them to their website. And the idea is that publications, regional, national, magazines, maybe even newspapers, columnists or writers will, eZine articles, EZINE ARTICLES. That is a site where you can you can set up an account and write articles on a certain subject, submit them, and the hope is that some journalist or columnist will be perusing that site and see something that interests them. How often does that happen? I don't know, but at the very least, what you can do is you can take that article and you can say that it was published on eZine articles, and it was because you published it there. You posted it on their site. What does that mean? The people that know that's not really a big deal, they're probably not going to think any less of you for doing that. But there are some people that don't know that that's not a legitimate source. A website that supplies articles, and so it probably won't hurt to do that kind of thing. There are other sites that do the same kind of thing. You may choose to do it at 2 or 3 different sites. You may run into some restrictions. You may not can post the same article in multiple sites. I don't know, but it may be, even though you technically are the copyright owner, they may not they may not look kindly on that. And how much do they police that? Probably not very much, but probably best not to do that. So read through the section here, page 331, flows over to page 332. What is newsworthy? Because not everything is, honestly, not everything's all that important. And again, that's where having someone that you can bounce ideas off of, and that they'll be honest with you, and being critical, while still remaining your friend, or certainly if it's a family member, someone that you trust, to give you honest and critical feedback, can be helpful. But it goes through some of the things here that is actually newsworthy. Writing a good press release is important. You have to keep in mind, if you're sending this to radio stations, to TV stations, to newspapers, what is important to the reader here? What's important is that you get your message across quickly, succinctly, and you tell them in the first sentence or two why it's important. Honestly, you almost have to do their job for them. You almost have to answer every single question. If there's any possibility, if you leave something open, hoping that they'll call you back to get more information, chances are they're not going to call you back. They've got too much going on. They're too busy also. They want everything packaged in a nice, neat little box, and that they can take and just take it from your email attachment, transfer it over here, and it's done. They may call you for clarification on one little thing, but not to expound on the story anymore. Okay? So I know we're getting close to time here. It's right at 1 hour and 15, so we got to wrap this up. Okay. And again, public relations. You don't necessarily need to hire a public relations firm, although there are many in our state that do that professionally. Now, a public relations firm is not the same as a marketing firm. These are firms that help you develop a good image in your community, whether it's the locale where you live, or when I say community, it could be the state. But more specifically, a certain type of individual that would be seeking out your product or service. So that when we say the word community, don't necessarily mean a city. Okay, so understand that. All right. And then on page 334, the ways to generate publicity. We talked about some of these. There are others that are great here as well. And when appropriate, I would recommend that you start asking around, ask questions. I heard something on the radio the other day, the differences between lucky and unlucky people, and basically what it boiled down to was that lucky people are aware of the situations, their surroundings. They pay attention to what's going on to them, and that is actually what makes them more fortunate or more lucky. And so one way that one component of that is talking to people. If you're shy, it's not a lesson about not being shy or whatnot, but talk to people. You never know who you're talking to that number one, that can help you, but that you can also help them. You may have something that can actually help them, but if there's no exchange there, then nothing can happen. And one day you'll run into that person who really can help you, and it may be sooner than you think. So it's uncomfortable. It's been, I've been that way too, but I've had to force myself to do those kinds of activities if you want to be successful. So I would encourage you to open up, and saying hi is great. Hey, that's a nice whatever kind of sweater you got on there. Where did that come from? Oh yeah, well, I've got a friend who does this, and they do da 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 for their business, and they have to have this, and so, oh really? Well, what type of business are you in? And you never know where a conversation may go just from small observations of things, and then the person will come back and ask you about things, and you'll have an opportunity to share, and and you may get nothing out of it the first 10. The first time, the first 10 times, the first 100 times, but eventually something will hit for you. So I would encourage you to observe and pay attention to the world around you, and take action on those things as well. Okay, into this video, there will be more though, including a discussion on the rubric. Okay.